all that anxiety and anticipation that may go into your first album, your second album, your third album, all the unknowns. A lot of that shit I know now, you know what I mean? So I have
Mm.
the benefit of experience. I think it's just different now though, because now, once you get above 10, 11, 12 albums, man, you're kind of in a different space, bro. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Like
Right.
I think you heard of did you ever see that interview with Jay-Z where he's like, you don't always you occupy that white hot space for only a certain amount of
Mm-hmm.
time.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so now at this point for me, it's about, okay, how can I, and this is the challenging part, like, how do I do what I haven't done yet? Like when you after you've done like albums in the double digits, bro, it's like that's a lot of songs. I mean, my catalog is like, almost 300 songs, man. So
No, I feel
it's
you.
like it's like how do I not repeat myself? How do I keep it
Mm.
fresh and interesting, not only for myself but for the listener and the fans? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then also, you start to think about legacy more. You start to think about, okay, can I get to 20 albums? Can I get to 30 albums?
Wow.
What's this going to look like 10 years from now, 20 years from now? How am I going to be remembered?
Mm.
What kind of message am I putting out there? You know what I mean? Like, is is what is going to be roadmap for that guy behind me? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
and
for
um
sure.
and so you just think about things a little bit differently now.
Yeah, for sure. And
Well said.
that actually brings up the question right there. Like, how do you prevent yourself from reusing old rhymes or whatever? I've heard recent interviews with like Lil Wayne and Eminem. They say they Google their old lyrics just so they don't repeat them.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. You just don't, man. It takes effort. You have to be really in tune to what you do and what you have done. And I think that's a really good point. I've never Googled myself, but I know what I've said. I
Just
think that,
just I just feel like we see so many new things every day. If you're really not trying to write the same stuff, you can't.
well, I would push back on that. I mean, I think, I mean, more and more music coming out, right? And every day history becomes longer. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that definitely becomes more difficult. But I think what I try to do is I just try not to repeat myself. A lot of times when I make an album, like I also kind of, as I'm working on it, I'll sit back and I'll just try to look at the landscape and see what people are not doing. Where's the void? Where's the space? And then I'll try to insert myself there artistically. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I'll just sit. It's like coming up with a recipe. Like you sit back and like, would be crazy if I took this, like I have a song on the album. I don't know if y'all got it yet. We'll get y'all in advance, but it was
Ooh.
I got this song called "I'm the Best Rapper in the World." You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I like it changes beats like 8 or 9 times. You know what I mean? And I know for a fact nobody's done that. You know what I mean? So, but I have to continue to come up with ideas like that, and it's not always easy, but you have to in order to keep it fresh and interesting just for myself. You know what I mean? Like I don't,
Hmm.
With
and,
ideas
and
like that, is that off you or off your production team when you do that, or is it a
it,
collaborative thing?
it's both. It's both. A lot of times, like producers will send me beats, and I'm just like, come on, man, send me something that's like, just send me some shit completely out of left field, just so I can get my juices flowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And then a lot of times people will come to me and be like, LB, I love that song you did, 2 albums ago, but what if you took that and we did this or we did
Yep.
that,
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
and I love that. I love that. I love getting in situations with and collabing with producers and other artists that really think outside the box and
Kind of
really
like to
push it.
remix an element, remix an ambiance, to remix a
Right.
vibe.
Say like if you had 14 albums, have you ever like practically just made a whole project off an old line or like just one part of a song and like
I have to think about that, but off the top of my head, no. No,
gotcha.
I have not. I mean, like I said, man, I try as hard as I can. I mean,
Right.
like very hard to not repeat myself. You know what I mean? Because you know, it's a fine line, man. You know, being your own worst critic and your own best friend. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you definitely don't want to. You want to go into uncharted territory and you don't want to repeat yourself, but at the same time, man, you don't want to beat yourself up about it if you do a little bit too. You know what I mean? But I
Listen,
mean,
naturally.
you know, it's but that's a part of it, man. That's a part of it. That's a part of greatness is the balance, you know, and that's really how I look at it.
Like, have you ever been worried about putting a song out there? You're like, oh, I'm not sure. Have you, or is
All the time, all the time, you know, all the time. But I think, you know, that's all part of it, man. That's
Yeah.
all part of it. I mean, look,
Right.
Yeah, without
the
risk, there ain't no reward for real.
I mean, and it's like, you know, I tweeted this the other day. I said, I mean, you know, if you're an artist and you don't take risks, you're not an artist, you're an accountant. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Right.
And I just feel like, you know, listen, I've made songs that I thought were the best fucking songs of my career, and you put them out and it's flat. You know what I mean? I've
Right.
had songs on albums that I thought were throwaways, and people went fucking nuts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
And,
real.
and
Right.
not throwaways. I just want to be very clear. I don't put anything out that I can't stand on. You know what
No,
I
Oh,
mean?
of
no,
course, of course.
But
I
what
understood what you meant by it though, from a creative perspective.
but I mean the point is it doesn't you know, it's not up to me.
Mm.
It's like I make the songs, I put them out into the ether, and I can't control how people receive them or don't receive them. You know what I
Right.
mean? There's just and that's what I'm saying though, but that's all a part of it, you know. And I mean, you got to take a chance. I mean, think of how many people in this world are not vulnerable with themselves. You know, think of how many people are not willing to go out on a limb. Think of how many people are not willing to give themselves the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm talking about when I say, you know, sometimes it's a fine line between your own being your own best critic and your own worst critic and your own best friend. You know what I mean?
Right.
So my personal feeling is I believe that it's the artist's duty to do that. You know, however it may be received, you know, and or not received. You know, I think that's just it's part of the job, man. In my opinion, you know.